Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another day of SSL Premier. The volume was extremely low. I'm Valdez. With me is Wolf. We're getting into the first day, and the first game is going to be incredible. It's going to be herO versus INnoVation. What a way to kick off this season.
That's right. We've had so many seasons of Star League now. The SSL was a tournament that kind of started a little bit later than the GSL and was always behind in terms of history, but now we've had several seasons. It's going to be our second and final season for StarCraft 2 here in Premier. INnoVation crowned champion there, the emotionless robot. He's joining us back. We've got a few new players joining from the promotion matches, the fast lane. So it's going to be a really nice set of players. And remember, if you're watching this for the first time, I know a lot of you are on Twitch. First of all, do let people know it's on Twitch now. But also, secondly, this is a different format than the GSL. It's not a tournament format. It's actually a league format, which doesn't really exist in 1v1 games. So it was kind of an experiment to see how it would go, and it's been being pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, we get the same 10 players playing every single night, just up against different opponents, of course, a round robin between all 10. So we get 9 days of all these great players playing every single time, which is awesome to see. So you get to see all the different matchups, how they do against Zerg, Protoss, Terran. And I really like the format. You know, you go down.
Korean TV, by the way.
Oh. Oh, there you go. I had no idea. Yeah, it's a really cool format. It definitely mixes things up. It's not the norm that you see around the world.
Yeah.
And,
it's cool. Very much like Pro League, except obviously with just sets of 1v1 players. So you have the 1v1 format, not with teams or anything like that, but you build points throughout the league. If you watch Heroes of the Storm, for example, very similar to the HGC format. So you build up your points. You have direct comparisons. We go into playoffs. And then from playoffs, you decide the finalists. Just like last season, if you watch last season, nothing has changed, don't get confused. But so there's a fast lane match that occurs between the seasons that determines which teams, or rather which players from Challenge will move into Premier, and which Premier players who were struggling will be knocked into Challenge. So we had that decided already. Challenge is already ongoing. It's on Saturdays, cast with this guy and Rapid. So you guys will stay up and watch that if you want to check out the Challenge players on Saturdays.
Yeah. Definitely check out the VOD where I was wearing shorts and you guys got to see my hairy leg for the entirety of it. Definitely the highlight of the broadcast for sure. Also some crazy games by SOS against Bunny, I think it was.
Double
where he just
proxy
did,
robo.
crazy cheeses every single game, and Bunny doing one in game 3. Won't spoil the winner of that one. But guys, it looks like we're ready to jump potentially into our first match.
That's right. And here's the reveal. Hyung is back. She'll be here as our reporter for this season. And we have a new map pool. Of course, we'll have Ascension to Ire and Odyssey joining us this season. So, first of all, as Hyung is pointing out here, 62 million won prize pool, which is quite large. And players also receive money for their appearances. Getting a 2-0 gives you actually more money than winning a 2-1. If you lose, you still get a little bit of money. So there's those extra added bonuses. Also, to come down here, you do have to get tickets. You'd normally be good buying them on the day for a generic round-robin match, but for playoffs, you probably want to buy them ahead.
Yeah, definitely go ahead and do that. I'm looking forward to seeing who is going to make it into that postseason. We had 4 players. I think it was Stats, Biel, Solar, and INnoVation. INnoVation, of course, did end up winning Season 1. Definitely the big favorite coming into Season 2. This guy seems to never fall out of form and just continues getting better.
Yeah. So with this format, you do have the ticket sales going to the players directly, and every player plays every day. So, people are like, wow, sick matches today. These are the greatest players. I'm like, well, it's going to be like that every week. So with our new maps, Odyssey and Ascension to Ire, this is kind of how StarCraft tournaments evolve. This is one way that Brood War, for example, changed over time. Even when the game wasn't updated or patched, the meta could shift with the new additions of extra maps here. So Odyssey and Ascension of Ire ladder maps coming in, not using any GSL exclusive maps in this league, just going to be maps that you guys know from the ladder, and keeping some of our old classics, Whirlwind, Overgrowth, Newkirk, etc.
I was going to mention that. It's kind of funny how maps such as Frost, Overgrowth, Whirlwind, these maps that have been around forever, still in the map pool. And guys, we're going to take a look at some of our past SSL champions.
That's right. So As you can see, 6 of the 10 players in this league are SSL champions. 2 of the players on the right side who have never been SSL champions before are Biel and Stats, 2 players who went to the SSL finals and were defeated there. So 8 of 10 players have actually been in a grand finals of this tournament. Deer was close once, and Alive had a decent run last season. So stacked tournament, to say the least.
Look at INnoVation's pose with his chin up. This guy is just becoming, he's like reaching a new level of confidence and coolness here in Korea. Very curious to see if he'll be taken down this time around by one of these other champions. Of course, Classic, herO, and Deer coming up from Challenge. So we got some new challengers here. We did lose SOS, Zest, and Patience. So just replacing 3 Protosses for 3 other Protosses.
That's right. So Protosses swapping places. Zest and SOS really struggling, specifically. Patience as well. Didn't have the best time in the promotions. I feel like he had a decent season, but in promotions he just had a bad 2 days there. So, or actually, I believe he only played in the second day. That's if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
But anyway, Zest and SOS have fallen pretty far. So even though they looked dominant at the beginning of the year, it's time for some new blood here.
It was crazy to see them fall in Premier, but then even crazier on the first day of Challenge with me and Rapid to see Zest getting 0-2'd by Impact, and then SOS just going ahead and cheesing his face off and going down 1-2. So those guys, as you said, definitely have fallen. I would like to see them come back, but new blood, or I guess, you know, herO, Classic, and Deer, they've been around for an extremely long time as well. Champions in their own right in many different tournaments. Deer winning the GSL way back when.
That's right. He's had a few top finishes in tournaments since then, making a few round of 4s, but never really getting back into the limelight completely. morO, of course, failing in the GSL yet again, not making it to the grand finals, losing to Gumiho. Still was so close to being the only StarCraft 2 player to have won in OSL, SSL, and GSL, but it may never happen now that morO did not win that GSL, have other opportunities in the future, but he made it deep in the GSL, had a decent run, of course, in the first season, but did fall down to the promotion matches, found his way back in Premier. So he looks to be back in form. He kind of crushed his group going into that one. So I think morO is going to be a strong contender, especially when you consider how deep he made it through this season of GSL. So one to look out for. But I have to say, for me going into this one, the big favorites are INnoVation and herO. I think herO cannot be underestimated at this stage.
I mean, yeah, everybody's talking about INnoVation, of course, but herO, he just stomped everyone in Challenge, like made it look easy, too. The only person he lost to was Deer, funnily enough. I think it was a 3-1 loss. But either way, guys, enough talk about that. Let's introduce our players. We're going to go ahead and go to that right now. So there you have it, INnoVation versus herO, the first match of Premier Season 2 here at SSL.
Yep, no shocker that we're beginning the match with INnoVation, who was the defending champion, and herO, who was basically, you could say, the champion of Challenge. He's at the top of the B side of things. INnoVation won the Premier League, so we'll see these two clash again finally in SSL. They've faced each other in numerous tournaments over the years, an iconic matchup we saw back in Pro League, even in Pro League for Brood War. So herO making a splash here now in Premier. He'll have the entire season to prove himself and to prove that his run through Challenge was not a fluke. And in Legacy of the Void specifically, 28-24 and total matches career, they are 40-39. So this is going to be an amazing starting match, and I think it's going to be a very big test here for the former CJ Protoss.
Yeah, and I think he definitely can do it. As you were mentioning before, the two big favorites coming into this tournament, so definitely fitting that we have them first. herO was looking good against all the Terrans that we had in Challenge, but this is going to be an even harder challenge for him going up against INnoVation. Of course, tonight it is only best of 3s, so it's no big best of 5, best of 7, nothing like that until we do get to the playoffs.
So, as you can see, we have updated graphics here to show results throughout the tournament. These are the list of all the players that INnoVation will face throughout the round robin. Here was his first opponent, and it would be assumed that Classic will be his last, assuming it goes in normal order there. So we'll have these stats updated and reminding you guys the story of how these players have gone through the round robin every week. I won't be repeating myself and telling you guys this every time, but since it is opening day, just want to show you guys what that graphic means. It doesn't mean they've never had any results against those players, just this is for this round robin specifically. And herO, remember, he's also an SSL champion, very strong player, was able to defeat his teammate Bjell back in Season 3 for 2015. That was 2 years ago now, though. And
it's funny that they have his achievement rank up there. He hasn't been in Premier at all, so I'm not even sure how he has 10 points.
Perhaps he has retroactive achievements for his victories in SSL 2015 that they
He would need to have more achievements than that, though, right? If he more than just 10 points.
You would think.
Oh, he gets 10 for qualifying.
Okay. We got the update from Bino.
There you go.
Producer.
But how's he in 9th then? He must be tied for 9th.
I guess so.
It's the only thing that comes to mind, really, but looks like we're ready to go, guys. We're finally getting through all the CGs, and we're going to get to the meat, the heart of the product, the actual StarCraft. The map list here: Whirlwind, Overgrowth, and Odyssey.
This is going to be a decent set. We might get to see Odyssey, somewhat untested map for these players, new to the SSL. They've played it dozens, hundreds probably times at this point, but decided to cast it for the first time myself, Valdez.
Yeah, so guys, let's do it. We're going to jump into game number 1 right now. herO versus INnoVation. Here we go. Game number 1. Better fly, Jin Air. Down on the bottom left, the blue Terran, it is INnoVation.
Defending champion of SSL, his first SSL title, was able to take it. And his opponent, you could say arguably the unofficial champion of Challenge, crushing this matchup specifically for a long time, did fall to the hands of Bjorn in the GSL. Second group stage, so didn't make it deep in the GSL, but this players who had a tough round of 16 group in the GSL should not be underestimated by INnoVation, who's been able to study and watch his play, as we look to see actually a command center first here for INnoVation on Whirlwind, this large map. He did prioritize this as his first map pick in the map draft, so definitely planned to play a macro game here. So.
Yeah. And herO going ahead and prioritizing Overgrowth for his first one, but then Whirlwind as his second one. So, I mean, herO definitely likes his Overgrowth, but it seems like he's prepared to play on this big map. And speaking of big, it's going to be cross spawns and 10 premiers, 1 throne.
Yeah, that's right. Stats and build finalists, but not champions.
Yeah. The stars indicate the champions. herO going to go for his own macro build, Tier Gate Nexus Core. Everything pretty standard up until now. The INnoVation a little bit greedier.
You know what's interesting in Star League's history for the SSL? There's never been a repeat champion. We talked about this a lot when Dark was making his run through the playoffs. And it's kind of funny as everyone's trying to get their star here. And INnoVation could get his first double as herO as well. His 2 champions.
Yeah, we were talking about that for Solar, too, when he went up against INnoVation in Premier Season 1, but then he got bopped. Wasn't really too close.
Well, for a moment, I was worried INnoVation was going to add 2 more barracks, so we were going to have an old late Wings of Liberty strat with the 5 racks after CC first on. We saw that back on Tal'Darim Altar back in the day, not so much on Whirlwind, as that was a newer map. But it's going to be the triple barracks follow-up here for INnoVation. Looks to put on some aggression. It also gives them some extra safety after the CC first. There are cross spawns here, which can oftentimes really mess with INnoVation's play style because he's normally a player that's so focused, so based around the timing attack. So when you have to go further across the map, it gets a little bit more difficult to execute those crisply. And I know Games Done Quick is on right now, but INnoVation is StarCraft Done Quick at this stage. So we'll see what he makes with this. The pressure that he wanted to perhaps put on with the Marines is going to be a little bit less reasonable with the normal build that's coming out from herO. If it was a Nexus first also for herO, he could have done some Marine pressure, but especially not at cross spawns. Maybe difficult to do that right now.
We're just going to be chilling here for a bit. herO, I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes for that very normal Oracle into just a third base very fast, especially at these spawning positions. It's extremely safe to do that, especially if you can scout out the build as he is moving across the map to do just that. Engineering Bay being added right now for INnoVation as he does prepare for this. Actually, herO is going to lose that Adept. It was really close, down to 14 health.
Fairly careless to not preemptively shade there, knowing that INnoVation had the means to do this because the SCB already saw the Adept on the map. He didn't lose it, and I'm being hypercritical right now, but they could have avoided this scenario. We'll just verify how many SCVs are there and see if the Marines are at the natural or not, because the Oracle's coming across. This is the bread and butter build that herO's been using throughout Challenge and often in the GSL. Part of the reason why he fell so early is he was really inflexible with his builds. And we have a fast stim. We have the Engineering Bay up super early, so he's going to have turrets up. This is going to be definitely pretty reasonably defendable for INnoVation.
Yeah, I think he should be just fine. herO's definitely one of these players, though, that will always keep his Oracles alive rather than just trying to sacrifice them for extra kills. So I think once he comes in here and he sees all these Marines, he might just try to pick off a couple of SCBs, but not really super overcommit. You can see he was trying to draw those Marines out of position, but knowing that they're all at the natural, he's going to attempt to go into the main.
Yeah, he just wants to draw the attention of INnoVation away here. There's only one missile turret here, and as you said, his control is pretty impeccable on these Oracles. We'll find the one-shots here, only taking shield damage for the majority of that to get the 3 SCVs. Unfortunately, because INnoVation went triple barracks, he has a lot of Marines to split between his 2 bases, so even the Adepts he wanted to poke at the front with are met with much resistance. So INnoVation kind of reading into how is the best way to transition from this CC first opening and deal with herO's style. So the 3 barracks follow-up was definitely the way to go.
Yeah, but we got herO doing a very interesting build. I was very much expecting just a third base and a macro game out of herO, but I think he's trying to throw a wrench into things and trick INnoVation here because he's adding a bunch more gates.
Oh, this is bad, though. Yeah. This is a risk by INnoVation to even try for this, but he gets 1.
And almost gets the other 10 health. And herO, he's going to follow up with a gigantic attack. He's not making any more probes. Has that Warp Prism done? This is going to be 8 gates. And Phoenix Adept.
Yeah, I mean, as you would expect, right? This small contingency of Marines who's over-stimmed will actually, the majority of them be taken out, but he actually tricks the Adepts to finish their shade, and now has a second stimmed force over here to look for more kills. The Warp Prism does save 4 of those, but needs to be careful and get out.
Yeah.
This is looking like a disastrous game for herO. He's lost too much here. He's committed now to, I believe, 7 gateways. He's going to lose even more Adepts here. There's no way out. And he's just losing critical units that he needs for the push. And he made a Mothership core at home at least, so when the drops start hitting his base, he'll have some defense for that. But this just does not feel like a reasonable attack anymore. And INnoVation feels so safe. He's going to drop a 3rd CC.
He's styling all over herO right now. He's making that in the face of an Adept. He's just out on the map, trying to put that pressure on. And herO, he's just going around. He's trying to buy time with this. Warps in 8 Adepts over here, looking for some economic damage. Going to just shade in onto these units because the rest of his army is out of position.
Stasis.
Look at that. That's awesome.
But a really good Widow Mine shot here as well, and even this ragtag group of Marines should be able to clean this up. The SCV damage will be significant if he targets here. Actually, 3 of the Adepts will shade away. But the follow-up attack here is basically all in from herO. If INnoVation is able to hold, he has such a lead. He's going to try to cut off these stasis units here, but he doesn't have a large enough army. Even that one group alone was able to just fight toe-to-toe, retreat back. Now he's got the rest of his army all set up and regrouped, and suddenly INnoVation has this defense, and it feels like herO has to walk away with his tail between his legs here. He's going to just go in for one more warp in. It's a very strong attack, but not as strong as it should have been with those caught units in the middle of the map.
He's going to just shade right underneath these Liberators into the Widow Mines, but still, this is a lot of Adepts doing a pretty good number.
But no anti-air here, besides the 1 Phoenix for this Liberation defense. Time Warp going to be used here. It feels again like desperation. The Mothership Core goes down here. The Shade completes into the natural. Huge warp in. This is herO's moment. This needs to be his time. The Widow Mines are coming in. +1 armor is about to finish too, but no anti-air here again, and this is the big issue.
Yeah, definitely is. Really nice control here from INnoVation. herO trying to make the best of his situation. Won't give up just yet, but those Widow Mines are coming off cooldown, and all of these Adepts are being picked off as herO finally now running home with his tail between his legs.
Remember, the third base is up for INnoVation now. This Warp Prism is found. Will be chased away by the Liberator, and I guess he's going to try to look for maybe a cheeky snipe on it or something with the Phoenix spot. INnoVation now has the better production in the third base, the third orbital coming up, and he killed so many units in the middle of the map that his push was supposed to be stronger than it ended up being at the end of the day. And what can herO hope to accomplish now? Down a base, down on tech, upgrades.
This is a cute move. I mean, he's just trying to find any damage that he can at this point. Again, it's going to be a lot harder to get out of here than it was to get in, especially because this was unscouted. He is going to get another nice warp in here. Starts with some Stalkers now to deal with these Liberators in the sky.
Yeah, Liberators are just doing so much extra damage here. The Immortal tried to do its best, but it's not fighting SCVs here. It looks like this is going to be the last stand for herO. Remember, even in workers, but with mules and the third CC, that's not as significant as it may initially appear. The fact that the Warp Prism lives is the most significant part of this because it can continue to warp in units, but the warp ins are getting weaker and weaker as INnoVation just has production to match this. Even as building add-ons right now instead of using full production, he's that confident that he will be able to eventually hold this off. There's never going to be enough anti-air to kill the Liberators. That's what the Phoenixes are designed to do, but even Widow Mine's going to finish off these Adepts. INnoVation's army is almost pure Widow Mine. He's got nine Widow Mines.
It's a ridiculous number at this point, but it's enough. GG. Even after 16 SCVs fall, as you were mentioning, INnoVation with just some really good game sense, moving out on the map, kind of reading what herO was doing, not scared to throw down the third base and get really far ahead.
Yeah. And the 3 barracks fall was what allowed him to deal with the Oracle harass so well. When you look at what herO did, it wasn't poorly executed. There were 2 extra factors. The triple barracks, which allowed him to have more Marines so he could push the Oracle away, push the Adepts away that were poking the front, and also the fact that the attack came a little bit slower because herO had to go cross-map to hit this pressure. Then he went for a follow-up all-in, which then also had to go cross-map. Even though he has the Warp Prism there for the big follow-up warp-ins, it still takes longer to set up. INnoVation caught those units in the middle of the map. Baiting those Shades into his army was like the nail in the coffin for finishing the game, basically. I mean, all he had to do from there is cross his T's and dot his I's.
It's the little things when you get to this level, and as I said before, even though that looked really one-sided, herO really is, believe me, a fantastic player. And it really came down to the little things, as you said, baiting into the Shades in, just his Widow Mine micro, getting his Liberators in position, always following where herO's army was going, microing his SCVs even at the very end against the Adepts with the Widow Mines in his mineral line. And INnoVation definitely looks a small step above herO right now. So
yeah, if you're a doubter of herO's skill, watch what he was able to do with that 1 Warp Prism alone with the small group of units in the main base, how well he was able to fight, all circumstances considered there. Had INnoVation made a few control mistakes or missed some cycles of production or not had depots up on time, perhaps the all-in still works even with those lesson units. It's a very powerful build, it's a very powerful strategy, but it was weakened by what INnoVation did. His execution on the defense was better, and the Widow Mines really won out. Not enough anti-air, no way to reasonably deal with the Widow Mines. That's why the Widow Mine count got up to 9. They just didn't have consistent detection to pick those off.
Yeah, it was kind of an all-in there from herO. It got scouted out. I was very surprised to see him do that on that map. That may lead you to believe maybe he's less confident against INnoVation on that big macro map. It's going to be interesting to see how things go into our next one. It is going to be on Overgrowth, a much smaller map, 2-player. Definitely would have expected that build on this map, but I don't know. Maybe herO just trying to throw, a totally different build INnoVation's way.
I think you're right, just based on how he started, and he opened making Phoenixes, then canceled them, then made the Warp Prism. I think it was very much an on-the-fly decision after realizing that INnoVation looked to be gearing towards taking that third CC. So we're getting ready for game number 2. The map this time will be Overgrowth, a map that's more INnoVation favored. It was actually herO's top pick, though, so looks like he wants to be the aggressor in this first best of 3.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to jump straight into the match, guys. So let's jump to game 2 for Overgrowth. Here we go, game 2 for INnoVation versus herO. Up in the top right, the Blue Terran taking game number 1 in pretty easy fashion. It's INnoVation.
Just all the right moves. And his opponent to the bottom left in yellow, it is herO, the former CJ, current Root Gaming player. So, when we talk about builds and the way things can go in a game like the last one, it was an all-in from herO, and it wasn't perfectly timed because, as we described, he did it kind of on the fly. So it looks like, if you look at the game in one way, then you just say, well, I think herO's a cheeser, right? Or you're frustrated, you've been dealing with adepts yourself on the ladder, and you're frustrated, you think, aha, he's just a stinky cheeser, and his build didn't work. You have to see the subtleties of it. It wasn't the most crisp timing. There were cross spawns. INnoVation caught a lot of those adepts, so I think that the hype going into this first best of 3 that we were bringing is still very much relevant, despite the fact that that game was so one-sided. It was one-sided because there were a few little things, as you described it, that ruined herO's plan and made him look weak by comparison. But if he plays a different style or we go into a more normal game, then that's where he's going to show his skills.
Yeah, herO, the evil villain, the stinky cheeser, gets thwarted by the actual herO, INnoVation. Game number 1. Funny the way that works out. herO going for the same build. We'll go for a scout on this map too.
Oh, Myungshik in the house.
He's a psycho.
He's like, if you're not here, you're a psycho. Where do you buy tickets? Should have bought tickets earlier. It's actually pretty full today for opening day. Pretty happy about that. A lot of enthusiastic fans, a lot of Western fans in the studio today as well. So, which is actually quite common for SSL for some reason. It's the place to visit.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy that we got fans down here. If you do come down to our studio, please do come and say hi to us. And so the openings here is Gate, Nexus, Core coming out for herO. INnoVation, given game number 1 in herO's very aggressive nature, and the fact that he prioritized this map first will kind of lead him to scout with this Reaper all around, looking for proxies, that very suspicious proxy Stargate location, before heading across the map to count pylons and gain additional information. The timing of this Mothership Core perfect to try to intercept the Reaper. He misses it though. Looks like he's going to send it all the way across the map to get a deeper scout.
Robo opening here from herO. So definitely mixing things up on Overgrowth. No Stargate this time.
INnoVation bringing the Hellions in here. We've seen this get a lot more popular over the last few months. I don't want to say recently per se.
Yeah, it's really nice on a map like this. I mean, you got wide ramps everywhere. It's pretty close by. You can just speed them over. You drive those Hellions straight into the natural. If the Protoss is not ready and he doesn't have his Mothership Core in position with a perfect pylon, you can definitely get a lot of damage done, even if the Protoss is right on time with pulling those probes. So comes over here, sees that factory with the reactor, immediately turns that Mothership Core around, but these are already at the natural here.
Yeah, Stalker is actually in position to deny Reaper, not really in position to deny Hellion, so here come the shots. The lineup here is terrible for herO. Loses 3 minimum. I think he's going to lose more. Might have even gotten another shot there to get 5 or 6. Now looking for more on the main base. Not only does he do this, but he scouts the Robo as well.
The Reaper up top is getting a ton of damage done too.
Oh my god, herO's falling apart here.
9 kills. The Reaper does die, but think about the trade there. 2 Hellions and a Reaper for 9 probes. 3.5 minutes into the game.
Can you check and see if he saw the Robo Bay? Because I think there's a small chance of that. No, he did not. Okay, well that's at least one boon for herO. He was very carefully checking just to make sure that INnoVation didn't see the Robo Bay. He has a pretty reasonable mind to assume this is the opening that's coming out here with the Disruptor drops, with the fast Robo like this, which is quite rare. He's not getting it for some new age Widowmine defense. Speaking of, we're going to see those drop down in here. Just going to force it. Loses the medevac. He was very hell-bent on making this attack successful. Ooh. Gets a Stalker, which is often more valuable than a probe or two.
That's pretty cool that herO does focus that down. He is going to kill the one Widowmine here. He's Chrono boosting out an Observer to deal with the second one, and it's just non-stop harass from INnoVation, following up with now a Liberator for Phase 3 of the build.
Yep, Stalker's going to have to babysit that a little bit, and it's going to be very annoying if he actually just puts it nearby, kill a Stalker or two. That's 3 Stalkers have to make sure they're on the spot if he's going to be ready to defend it. So we do have Warp Prism Speed coming out. This is the nature of this build. You can't really do it without Warp Prism Speed. It's the new age Reaver drop, if you will, if you're a Brood War fan. Not quite the same, but functions similarly. We're going to see the Liberator now come in here. The Stalkers are out of position.
Oh, man. Things just not looking too good so far for our Protoss buddy.
Doesn't have enough anti-air here to dominate the defense. Puts the Stalkers in the Liberation Zone, so nearly loses 2 of those on top of the probes already lost. So we're looking at a probe deficit for the race that has Chrono Boost for the next side against 43 plus mules for INnoVation, who has a solid defense against anything that's going to come his way. The siege tank's here in position. He will need to react accordingly, though, when the Speed Warp Prism arrives. It's going to show up right now. As the tank in position, but needs to pull the SCVs.
Oh, that was kind of a late reaction. Already 4 SCVs going down. And it was out of the range of the tank, too, where he dropped that Disruptor. So already getting a nice bit of damage here for herO. Going to come in and scout the follow-up with this Observer, too. Sees the timing, and INnoVation is right on top of that Observer.
Yeah, tracked it down pretty hard there. Waits for the scan to eliminate it. Just going to be the continued 1 Disruptor. Going all the way around the depots there, a miscontrol, and will cause him to basically waste that Purification Nova. I like this taking a 3rd Nexus. It's very risky, it's very greedy, but he has the pressure on the side of INnoVation right now, so this is his only chance to realistically hit this Nexus before INnoVation comes out to punish him, to be aggressive, because he knows that herO's invested so much into this tech. He doesn't have a large army. You can tell when you look at the army supplies, 50 to 28, INnoVation is massively ahead. This is going to be a decent shot.
Yeah, gets a bunch of the Marine Marauder, too, and yeah, I mean, as you were saying, the 3rd base, it's in a weird spot, too, and he's controlling both of the watchtowers. It's kind of like Oracles when you control the map with them, except it's the Speed Warp Prism, which can sometimes be even scarier if they do have that Disruptor in there. You always have to be on your toes and looking at that. So INnoVation, he's trying to go for a drop here at the 3rd, but it doesn't exist because it's not at this location.
That's right. So he's going to look for an attack at the natural. This is definitely somewhat suspicious to INnoVation. May even cause him to play a little more defensively for a moment here. Now remember, the Disruptors are not just for harassment. They're also for defense here. But this is about micro right now, as if the Disruptor shots don't hit, they're literally worthless. And he's going to get the first one here with a pickoff and then boost away. Blink is done, though, and that's going to be the double snipes here. herO catching up with this game with this nice defense. And remember, if you look at the 4 horsemen of Terran, right, as they've been dubbed by, I believe, Artosis, INnoVation is the god of macro, the timings, those types of attacks. You look at a player like Maru, right? He's the guy who's going to micro well against us. Perhaps with Maru's Marines, that would have been a different scenario, but with INnoVation, just unable to get more than the 1 Disruptor. The Blink finishing at a very opportune time, and now it's 3 base to 2 here. INnoVation's still with a larger army, but significantly less larger than it was with the first attack. And more Disruptors are coming out.
Look at the timing on that pylon. He just put that down. So you could tell that herO was expecting that kind of drop. INnoVation, he's dropping here at the 3rd base. Widowmine's coming down. The 2nd one forgets to burrow. And a bunch more going into the main. So this is really spread out. Definitely very annoying for herO. But he's going for an attack at the same time. Not even paying attention to this.
Okay, but the attack is so much more important right now than these 4 probes. Okay, here comes the first shot. Going to hit the Disruptor. Second shot actually going to hit a few Stalkers here. A little bit of a weird micro there from herO as he gets a little bit flustered trying to defend the Widowmines. I think he's just realized. We'll clear this one up using the disruption shot. This cannon will clear this one, but it might trigger. It might trigger the both. Clear trigger. The cannon blocks.
Oh, that was so close.
Stalker going to get taken out here too. Miss micro there. And herO walks back across the map. Not willing to attack in with siege tanks and liberators in there. Another probe killed here in the main base. And it just feels like herO's builds are intelligent. The preparation was real, but the base defense, the base management here for herO is the weak point, and INnoVation is definitely exploiting it.
Curious to see what INnoVation is going to do now that he's taken his 3rd base. Will he just chill back, play macro, try to max out ahead of herO and take big fights later on, or will he continue to pressure, maybe even go for an attack at the 3rd? Because, you know, right now herO's army is basically just Stalkers and Disruptors, which can definitely be microed against. And when you have enough Marine Marauder and tanks in the back line to deal with these Stalkers, you definitely can win this fight.
Yeah, you just don't have consistent AoE. You have some AoE, which is very difficult to control and can be outplayed, not with siege tanks or Widow Mines, but these Stalkers, when there's no Disruptors with them or the Disruptors are on cooldown, the Bio will crush the Stalker army. Liberators are going to help against those Disruptors. Siege Tanks will help against the Disruptors. This is very much a micro-based battle that's harder for herO to execute than it is for INnoVation. Okay, here comes Disruptor shots. The Liberator's going to start racking up probes on the other side of the map.
I mean, he is just so consistent with this harass. He's always across the map, forcing hero's focus to be somewhere else when it's not on the fight. And it's really genius, actually, against this composition because this is very micro-intensive, this Stalker Disruptor kind of composition. So if you're always just threatening him at his base, he cannot focus as much. He's going to do stuff like this, walk straight in the tanks.
Yeah, he has to just blink off because if he controlled those individually perfectly, had his Disruptors with him, he would have been able to accomplish a lot. But because he just can't be looking at that while the Liberators are harassing, he has to back away, as you said. And it's not that it's not a hard micro battle for the Terran 2 here, but it's more defensive, which makes it a lot easier, more reactionary. Going to catch another Stalker. Huge stim for INnoVation. Needs to make this worth it. I think with all the Stalkers he got there, he certainly will. As now he can just heal back with the medevac energy as the army regroups here on the Watchtower. I believe he's seen that fourth base and wants to punish the greed here of herO as he moves forward.
There is a lot of AoE in this army for herO. INnoVation has to be careful to not bleed any units and get those units into position. Look at the concave he's set up. He's ready to take this fight, repositioning those Liberators. Has to dodge the Disruptors, though.
Look at this Liberation Zone setup, forcing if the Stalkers want to go in and chase, the Bio is there for them. Has more consistent AoE with the Colossi now.
Uh-oh, look at those Colossi. They're down on the low ground. He doesn't go for them. He's actually picking off a bunch of these Disruptors instead.
Looks like he's just not going to target, and the Sentry force fields were decent there, but the Bio is crushing the Stalkers. No disruption shots going out that entire time. And this is an amazing trade for INnoVation, who didn't even have his Liberators moving forward during that. Now that they're in position, this is so difficult for a Protoss army to deal with here. Now just once again lifts up. The Stalkers blink down here. The Bio's coming out of the medevacs. The Stalkers start to fade away here. INnoVation with another amazing trade in this fight. And even if he's cleaned up just barely, the next attack is going to be the scary one.
Does get a lot of those Liberators and picks off even a bunch of the medevacs, so he has held off the attack for now, and he keeps a lot of his very expensive units alive. Both of the Colossi still live, the Disruptors are still alive, so he can kind of remax or just, remake his basic unit composition to, to go with those Colossi and the Disruptors. Whereas INnoVation, it looks like he's floating his main to go over to the third. And
sure.
He's going to start building some Vikings here instead of Liberators. Going to mix up his composition.
Well, he needs to get the tech out for dealing with the Colossus switch. I don't know how much he's really going to commit further than this first 8 Viking set, but he kept hitting similarly to herO, not in terms of DPS, but in terms of medevacs and high-tech units. He kept a decent amount of Liberators alive. Had the medevacs all survive there, only the Bio died, so he's really making cheap Vikings and cheap Bio right now, so he can replenish his army very quickly, which is what I'm worried about for herO. The follow-up attacks with the counter to the Colossi, and yet again, more consistent harassment here. herO is just not able to defend all his bases, not paying attention here, and at his fourth base, pulled his probes a little bit late.
He's going to win this fight with flying colors, though. INnoVation not paying attention, and again, this is a very strong Protoss army with a lot of high-tech units. He is getting charged, too, and if he can get that front line of Zealots, it's going to be even better.
This is
and
an
keep in mind, there's only 2 Colossi, whereas INnoVation has made 8 Vikings.
Yeah.
Finally, now he's going back into the Liberators, which I definitely do like.
I like that a lot. The Vikings that he made, 8 is about just enough to deal with this really well. And I was going to say it was an opportunity for him to look for a Colossus pickoff there, but he was more concerned about getting his Bio out. Can't just lift up and fly away when there are this many Blink Stalkers. This is a great
This never
position.
ends.
Never ends. Okay, hero's actually needing to get a great fight here because of all the probes he's losing back at home. But look at this, Vikings already get both Colossi out of the fight. Concave here for the Bio. Not any more AoE here. Just can't hit the consistent purification novas anymore. And INnoVation, this is the follow-up attack I was talking about. Landing the Vikings now, killing these expensive gas units. The sentries are all going to fall here. And this may be all but over this first series of SSL Premier.
Yeah, INnoVation just totally wiping out all the leftover probes that were at the 4th base. herO just can't keep up with INnoVation right now.
He's trying to do too much, defending 4 bases while having these micro-intensive disruptors over the Colossus tech. It's just not consistent enough AoE damage. If you can hit the shots consistently, because they don't stack, you can't just control 3 at once. You can really only individually click on them. It's very difficult to do. Or if you do it 2 at a time, it kind of stacks on top of each other. Much harder to do than it looks if you've never played the game. doing that while defending against Liberator drops at multiple bases, it's just very difficult, which is why I would have preferred him to get the charge earlier or get those Colossus count up higher, but he stopped making them when he saw the Vikings, and he has this force moving across the map now, but there's so much bio here, and again, if he avoids these shots, he's in a good place, and look at this. This is without the Liberators even near the fight, and here they come.
Yeah, the Liberators are the majority of this army, actually, right now for INnoVation. He's got Marine Marauder, but not enough, it seems. I mean, look at all he's got right now. Let me take a short look. He's got 6 Marauders and 5 Marines.
Win behind Dark Shrine.
Yeah, that might keep this game going. It's really just, can herO deal with the amount of Liberators that are in the sky? The thing that's really surprising for me is that INnoVation on 4 bases basically still hasn't gone for advanced ballistics. He's staying on just normal Liberators even 16 minutes into the game.
He also hasn't continued to upgrade his bio despite having the money to afford it. Disruptor's being targeted here. Nice job by INnoVation. He's keeping his expensive units alive, these Liberators, while as his bio is dying, he can just replace that. This time he might lose those Liberators, though, as herO finally micros around it. But look at this. Another Disruptor is killed, and more cheap bio moving across the map. This may just be it. Massively ahead in economy. He's moved his CC to the 4th base. Need to deal with a pylon over there to actually get the full mining. It's actually not landed, but he's fighting with probes now, herO is, and he's probably been grinded out of this game. The more consistent fights here for INnoVation, avoiding the Disruptor shots. GG.
INnoVation with the 2-0 over herO, and I know me and Rapid like to meme that challenge is the best tournament in Korea, but INnoVation just made herO look not so great comparatively. INnoVation just totally wrecking this guy.
Having all the right decisions when the Disruptors came out, his decision in both games, but especially in the first game there, to heavily second game there, to heavily commit to the harass against a style that's so micro-intensive. You hit the nail right on the head when you mentioned that, because you're trying to micro 4 or 5 Disruptors. When you get to a certain number of Disruptors, some of them just simply are useless. You can't even really control them. That's why he started to make that Colossus tech switch with a more consistent AoE. Colossi don't miss. They fire no matter what, and unless they die to Vikings when you only have 2 of them, and INnoVation made the exact right amount of Vikings there. And he always kept his Liberators alive. It always looked like those fights were close. Like, wow, he's killing all the bio, and the bio's not that upgraded, but then 8 Liberators come. It's like, oh, he's got more Liberators than Stalkers. Yeah. I guess those all lived, and they came back from all the harassment holes and rejoined the army. And the base defense for herO, I think, was the biggest hole in his play. If his base management, his defense against the Liberators was better, he would have had a better time.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I mean, he was going for some attacks. A little guest on our camera coming on in there. But if he held off the attacks, didn't have to keep on remaking those probes, and he had a pretty consistent economy, I think he would have done a lot better. Made more Stalkers to deal with all those Liberators. He was taking good fights against the Marine Marauder, at least, of INnoVation, which at times he was, just going into fights, really just relying on those Liberators instead. And it did work out. So INnoVation, he is the champion. It does make sense that he does win this one. So that was pretty cool. But guys, we're going to jump into a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got a live versus dark. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.